AITA for working from home when husband wants house to himself? IWFH full-time. And have since I returned from maternity leave. I've got a nearly empty office 3,050 minutes away. Traffic depending. But working from home makes life easier. Getting my son ready and taking him to daycare, picking him up. Being able to start work looking grubby. Cuddling with my doggo during the day, etc. My husband also works from home about 6,070% of the time. During an argument this husband said I should be leaving the house more. And that at least once a month I could go downtown to work. I.e. leave at 7 a.m. Come home by 5:530, so that he could have the place to himself. He also shared that it's annoying always having me around. I'm like a cabinet, apparently. In that I'm a fixture that never leaves. Shocker. I'm at my own house. Where I live and work. Disclaimer. I am home a lot. Have no extracurriculars. Unless you count taking my son to his activities. And no friends close by. So I get his point. But still. AITA for digging in my heels and wanting to WFH? Especially now that I would only be leaving because he's told me he doesn't want me around all the time. I should also add my husband and I often trade off on the weekends. And give each other a few hours, half days to ourselves. When the other one takes the kiddo. Edit. My son is in daycare full-time. And husband works from home 6,070% of the time. Second edit. I should add this is not a new thing. When I was on maternity leave and home with our baby, he said I was home too much and needed to be out more. Eye roll. Despite me arguing about sleep and feeding schedules, etc. Info. Why doesn't he want you home? Is he planning on inviting PPL over, or is space really cramped? It kinda seems like a non-issue, but if you are home all the time, maybe give him a weekend off and have you and your kid visit someone, somewhere. Nah, neither one of you are in the wrong here, but let me say, as someone whose spouse is home pretty much 24/7, there comes a time when we all need a little alone time at home. It's not to throw parties or walk around naked, it's just to be. Think about all of those reasons you listed about the perks of working from home, and then realize that your husband gets perks from occasionally being home alone. I'm not saying go crazy, but plan 1 or 2 days a month that you can work from the office while he works from home, or 1 or 2 days a month where you visiting with friends and family so he can have that time. I would kill for this just so I can go crazy cleaning. It won't kill you to be a little flexible. I could 100% work from home, but I drive an hour one way to an office just so I can have alone time. Nah, this is a pretty common issue actually. I have this too with my roommate. He could have been nicer, but also not going to ignore the whole viewpoint bias we get here from you. Simply put, doesn't matter how much I love or adore somebody. I need some time away from everybody occasionally. I get that now with my roommate by just planning on doing nothing when he's gone fishing for the weekend. Simple as that. He does it often enough, my needs are fulfilled for alone time. You gotta give that to somebody who needs it. This is a him problem, is not the way to go about this. You're married. His problems are your problems, gotta figure this one out. If going into the office occasionally is the way to do it, Mazel tov, you have the tools. Nah, look, maybe it's because I'm a huge introvert, but I get where your husband is coming from. I only get to WFH 1 day a week anymore. But if my spouse is home on the day I'm WFH, it throws me off. The house isn't as quiet, even though we each have our own separate workspaces. Noise leaks. I can't just pop into the bathroom and leave the door open. I can't blast music, etc. It just makes it harder to fully relax. I get it. I would go absolutely nuts without some amount of alone time. I also get not wanting to go into the office just because if you don't have to, I'd 100% rather be WFH full-time than spend any time in the office at all. I don't feel like 1 day a month is a huge ask. But maybe what about a comprise where you leave the house with kiddo for the better part of the day? On a Saturday or Sunday once a month. It would give your husband a break and let him have his alone time in the house. But wouldn't disrupt the weekly routine with your kid? You get the house to yourself when he is at the office. You should extend him that same courtesy. Everyone needs to have time away from all of humanity, even the humans that they love and value the most, and he's only asking for 1 day in a month. The caveat, though, is that the days he stays home, he needs to do the at-home stuff that you do, like taking the baby to from daycare. I have to go with Esh because he could be nicer about it than he is. How often does he go out? How often does he take the baby out alone? TBH, it doesn't sound particularly healthy if you rarely go out. Esh. It doesn't sound like he ever gets the house to himself. Which is a legitimate thing to want. He wasn't kind in how he shared his feelings, though. I'll be honest, I recently broke up with my long-term partner due in large part to a very similar situation. She very rarely left the house, had very little contact with her friends, no hobbies that involved leaving the house, etc. She also constantly pushed for us to spend more dedicated time together for things like dates. But to be honest, I was completely burnt out on being around her all the time. I'm a huge introvert, and the thought of never having alone time in my own home ever again was a big reason to call it quits. I think the question is, do you care about his needs? Or do you care about being right? There's lots of people on the internet who will defend you and tell you you're right. But if you want to stay in a relationship with this man, you need to be open-minded when he's expressing a need, not just brush it off. Right now, you're winning by surveying the internet, but you're likely going to lose your spouse if you continue down this road. Nah, he's got a point. Does he ever get to be alone in his own house? I think he could have been a lot less rude. But it's a reasonable request. I also think if you really never get out, you may have adjusted to this new normal and maybe don't realize how much is missing from your life right now. If you never even go out for lunch or a day at the museum, and your only outings revolve around your child, you may be more miserable to be around than you realize. Yes, but mostly for not listening and respecting his needs. Being home alone versus when someone is there, even if they are working, is completely different. My partner just went back to work after 1.5 years off, and I am constantly discovering small things that I love doing when home alone, such as absolutely blasting a song on repeat for however long I feel like it. Being in a space without having to consider someone else's needs is so freeing. He's not asking you to go weekly even. So I feel like you need to have a conversation with him and be open to compromising. YTA, it's 1 day a month. Let him recharge alone at the house. He has a valid point, but also really went about it the wrong way. Everyone needs alone time to recharge. My wife and I ran into this during lockdown when we both WFH in a 700 feet apt. I was always there, she was always there, no matter the time or day. It was a near 100% time spent together. I'd say maybe take 1 day a week at the office. Make a day of it. Go to the office. Go out for lunch if you have the means. Do some errands on the way home. Take your time. It'll give your husband the time to mentally recharge at home. He could have worded it better, but you are coming across as dismissive here. How is only 1 day at the office a month that bad when you already are always at home, so he never has the place to himself like you do? You have to compromise in a marriage. You know. I think both of you having an office day once every week or two isn't unreasonable. I adore my family, but I love having the house to myself. YTA. He's asking for 1 day a month. Give it to him. If you don't want to give him a weekday and commute, then you're going to have to sacrifice a weekend day and be gone 8-ish hours. It's clear he wants and needs this, and has started to resent you not listening and blowing him off. Resentment is the marriage killer. So, pick the second Tuesday of the month or something, and make that office day. Dig in and refuse? He'll just start leaving and not coming back, while the resentment grows over being dismissed. Maybe he wants the same freedom you get? You get to work from home all day every day by yourself. When he does, you're there. I'm not saying he was right in comparing you to a fixture, but I get where he's coming from too, in that he doesn't have the same space when working from home. Another way to think about it is he works in office with people, he works from home with people. You don't, at all. You can do whatever you want while working. A compromise might be you work half days in the office once or twice a month when he's working from home, so he can get that freedom when working from home. NTA, but it's worth talking to him about why he wants to work from home without you around sometimes. It may just boil down to he wants to work in peace. I know it did for me when my ex would have work cancelled and he was home. It felt like an intrusion even though it wasn't. YTA, is it possible to give him 1 day a month when he needs to work from home? There is a level of privacy that you only get when you are in your home alone. You get a chance to experience it, he doesn't. Except for a few hours on weekends. It would be a nice compromise. Just noticed he is asking for only 1 day a month. That's not a big ask. I am home a lot. Have no extracurriculars, unless you count taking my son to his activities. And no friends close by. YTA. Everyone wants alone time, and it can be really difficult when someone is always home with you, even if they are your partner. Once a month is super reasonable. It doesn't have to be work. Just do something. Go make a friend. Start an extracurricular. Just something that gets you out of the house for a little bit. And get more than one option for socialization. It is bad for your relationship when the only adult you regularly talk to is your husband. That is just a lot of pressure. Similarly, your husband should be making sure to get out sometimes to give you alone time. And should also be making sure to take an equal part in childcare and housekeeping. YTA. My spouse works from home 4 days a week and I do 2 days a week. On the rare occasion that I am working from home on his in-office day, it is heaven. It is so much different with the house to myself, and believe it or not, I am way more productive and happier. If you can give your husband just 1 day a month, it will make such a huge difference to him. If it's only 1 day a month, then YTA. I don't understand why you would have an issue with it, considering he only works at home 6,070% of the time. He may be obliged to go into the office 12 days a week, but may hate the commute just like you. The least you could do is compromise or communicate an alternative. Sure, raising a kid has its challenges, but not having friends and/or hobbies seems a little concerning. Unless I'm not getting the full picture here, or he has no friends and/or hobbies. But it seems your husband is the only person you communicate with, apart from your family. That can be mentally taxing for both of you. It's not wrong for him to want alone time at home.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.